Imagine a world where kindness is a currency, freely given, yet rarely returned with the value you expect. What if the very act of being good, the one thing you've been taught to cherish, becomes the chain that binds you to a life of quiet exploitation? We grow up believing that goodness is its own reward. Society whispers to us through stories and lessons that honesty and generosity will carve a path to triumph. But then you look around and see the kindest souls crumbling under the weight of their own virtue. The employee who pours their heart into every task, staying late, picking up the slack, is bypassed for the promotion they deserve. The friend who drops everything to listen, to help, to forgive, watches as their loyalty is met with indifference or betrayal. It's a harsh truth to swallow. The world doesn't bow to kindness alone. History shows us that those who rise, those who endure, pair their compassion with something sharper, a mind that sees through the illusions we're fed. Machiavelli, a name that echoes with shadows of cunning and ruthlessness, didn't pen his words to glorify evil. He wrote to unveil a reality most refuse to face. Power, not goodness, commands respect in a world that thrives on self-interest. Think of the leaders who shape nations, the ones we admire or fear. They offer smiles and promises to the crowd, but behind the curtain, they wield strategy like a blade, cutting deals that secure their thrones while the purely virtuous fade into footnotes. Even in the smallest corners of life, this pattern repeats. The partner who gives endlessly, hoping love will be mirrored back, often finds their devotion mistaken for something disposable, a resource to be tapped until it runs dry. Kindness without awareness is a gift handed to those who won't hesitate to take more than they give. It's not that goodness lacks value, it's that goodness alone lacks armor against a world that bends towards survival over sentiment. Machiavelli's lesson cuts deeper than mere cynicism. He saw humanity's duality. We are capable of beauty, of grace, but also of betrayal when the stakes climb high enough. Consider the corporate giants who drape themselves in banners of ethics and care. They'll preach sustainability one day, then slash jobs or crush rivals the next, all while the public claps for their polished image. In friendships, how often do you see the one who's always there, always forgiving, left wondering why their phone stays silent when they need someone most? It's not malice at play, it's human nature choosing convenience over reciprocity. This isn't a call to abandon your heart. It's a plea to pair it with eyes that see clearly, to recognize that fairness isn't a promise etched into the fabric of existence. Machiavelli didn't despise morality. He understood its limits. A ruler who clings to virtue without strategy is a shepherd inviting wolves to the flock, while one who balances both can protect what matters most. Power isn't the absence of kindness, it's the ability to wield it with intention. The truly powerful don't scatter their goodwill blindly. They choose when to give, when to hold back, and when to walk away. Look at history's giants, figures like Lincoln or Churchill. They weren't cold, but they weren't naive. Their compassion was tempered with decisions that stained their hands, yet preserved their causes. Perception shapes reality more than we admit. People don't flock to the most honest or the most skilled. They gravitate toward those who project strength, who seem unshakable even when the ground trembles beneath them. A leader doesn't need to be flawless, but they must appear resolute. Machiavelli knew this. It's not enough to be good. You must be seen as a force, a presence that demands attention and respect. Walk into a room with hesitation, and you're invisible. Step in with quiet confidence and eyes turn, not because of what you've done, but because of what they believe you could do. This is why the charismatic thrive, why the bold are followed, even when their plans falter. Power isn't just in action. It's in the story others tell themselves about you. Control your image and you control your fate. Let others define you and you're a pawn in their game, moved or discarded as they see fit. Now think about how much you reveal. Every word, every confession, every unguarded moment is a thread someone can pull to unravel your position. Machiavelli urged silence not as deceit, but as defense. The less you lay bare, the more you hold, the more others must guess, and in that guessing, you gain the upper hand. In a negotiation, the one who speaks least often wins. They listen, they watch, they let the other side stumble over their own eagerness, revealing cracks you'd never see if you'd filled the silence. On social media, people spill their lives, fears, dreams, failures, thinking it builds connection. But oversharing strips away the mystery, leaving you predictable, vulnerable, a book too easily read. The powerful don't rush to explain themselves. They speak when it matters, and when they do, their words land like stones, rippling outward because they're rare. Scarcity breeds value, a truth as old as time. The more available you are, the less you're prized. The more you give without limit, the less it's treasured. Think of the friend who's always there, always saying yes. They become background noise, taken for granted until they're gone, and only then does their absence stir regret. Contrast that with someone who chooses their presence carefully. They appear when it counts, and their absence leaves a void, a hunger for their return that elevates their worth. Machiavelli saw this in rulers. A king who's too accessible loses his aura, but one who steps back, who lets others seek him out, becomes a magnet for loyalty and awe. In your own life, overgiving dilutes your power. Say no, set boundaries, and watch how quickly your yes begins to mean something again. Generosity isn't weakness, but generosity without discernment is a signal that you're a well others can drain dry. Give to those who value it, not those who demand it. The greatest minds, philosophers, leaders, artists, knew when to withdraw. Their silence, their distance, made their voices thunder when they finally spoke. This isn't about becoming cold or cruel. It's about understanding that kindness, unguarded, is a flame that invites moths, burning you out while they take the light. Machiavelli's darkest gift wasn't a blueprint for tyranny. It was a mirror. He held it up to show us not just the world's flaws, but our own blindness to them. Strength isn't the opposite of goodness. It's its guardian. A kindness that can't protect itself is a flower planted in a storm, beautiful but doomed. The world doesn't kneel to the meek out of reverence. It steps over them, not out of hate, but because they've left no reason to pause. So where does this leave you? Will you keep pouring yourself into a system that rewards the cunning, hoping your goodness alone will shift the tide? Or will you learn to blend heart with mind, to stand tall not just for others, but for yourself? The choice isn't between virtue and vice, it's between naivety and awareness. Every day you see it play out. The overlooked, the used, the forgotten, all wondering why their sacrifices didn't earn them a throne. Maybe the throne was never meant for those who wait to be crowned. Power isn't handed out, it's claimed. Not through malice, but through a quiet resolve to see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. Start small. Hold back a piece of yourself today. Watch how people respond. Say no once. Observe the shift, and feel the weight of your own presence grow. This isn't a call to abandon who you are. It's an invitation to protect it, to wield your goodness like a sword, not a shield that others dent and discard. Machiavelli didn't write for the ruthless alone. He wrote for the dreamers who'd forgotten how to fight. He wrote for you if you're willing to listen. The question lingers, heavy and unyielding. What will you do when the world stops thanking you for your kindness and starts expecting it? How will you answer when the mirror reflects not just your heart, but the hands that have taken from it?